Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the RotoWire Euro DFS strategy show. My name is Jack Burkart. You can find me on Twitter at Jack Burkart. I am joined, as usual, by Ryan Belongia. We're here to break down tomorrow's four-game slate featuring teams like Belgium and Portugal. But first, we're going to break down what happened on today's four-game slate, where we had France and England in action and a really exciting game involving Austria and Netherlands. First, Ryan, before we talk about our slate, how about our team Austria? I think it's time. First and foremost, this is a show where we talk about our love for Ralf Rangnick and how awesome this Austria team played. Thank God they entertained me at the noon game because it was a snoozer at 3 p.m.
Yeah, it was. That was nice to see Austria. We said we liked Austria yesterday. Said we thought they had a chance to win. They looked like the better team for the most part. And yeah, it was the lone entertaining game of the slate, I guess. I mean, the France game was okay to watch, but the afternoon games were just hilarious, both finishing 0-0. Could see some of that again tomorrow. Yeah, frustrating slate for me. I guess I'll just talk about it. I thought another slate where I feel like there wasn't much justice. Like the Mbappe faders, like really couldn't run better, and they should be in shambles on a slate like this. Like he's just easily the first guy in. First of all, look what happened on these last two afternoon games, and that's going to happen quite a bit. That was never going to happen with the France game. You know, Mbappe is a favorite to play 90 minutes. You see, I mean, I feel like 24 points or whatever is almost the least he's going to score today. I mean, I know he got the pen, but anyways, to get more into it, every other forward got there, which is what made it so annoying. And in those first games, I had Depay and Sabitzer basically ticked as the worst two plays on the slate. Now, it's not because I don't really like the players. They were both in the same boat, and it means that I just can't click them. And what I mean is, they're two guys who people think were going to take sets and probably aren't going to take sets, and also two guys who people think have penalties and probably don't have penalties. So they're just going to get ownership that shouldn't be there. So like even if I want to play them, I'm just not going to do it. And both like should have busted and maybe could have got early sub, but scored late goals instead. So I mean that was just brutal. And then tournaments you could throw Lewandowski in there too. I mean, is there anybody worse at taking pens than Lewandowski? My God, the guy just has no confidence. He's so nervous. He got so lucky to make that second penalty against Mannion. So, you know, that was a bit annoying too. So really, like, we should have got an edge with Mbappe, but it turned out that just all the forwards did well, so it didn't really matter. And then, yeah, I see you have our cash lineups up there. I decided to fade Wimmer when Prass started. I just was unsure he was going to take any sets. You know, they had Romano Schmid start too, who took one or two, and Sabitzer there too, and then Prass, who was left-footed, who had taken a corner in a recent friendly. So I just didn't really want to pay $4,700 for Wimmer, and I kind of like Rabiot. I feel like was probably a mistake, but I felt he'd be chalk, and I got suckered in by the fact that he started alongside two other holding midfielders. Conte ended up more far forward than Rabiot, and Rabiot just had a bad game. And then, yeah, like I didn't know what to do at defense. I like what you did at D, probably better than what I did. Like I had Mbappe, Dembele, Prass, Eriksen, and I guess Rabiot, kind of like locks, and then you just figure the rest out. I wasn't like planning to spend up at D, but just had the money. And yeah, I thought the two France guys were probably the best plays. I decided to spend up at keeper instead of afford Theo Hernandez. And unfortunately, I played the worst keeper on the slate. Basically, all the other keepers got there except Netherlands keeper. The Poland keeper stood on his head, and then you had 4 clean sheets in the afternoon. So really, it went about as bad as possible for me, but I don't think it was necessarily deserved.
At least in bigger cash games, Ryan, you cashed. So.
Yeah. I mean, I still cashed in cash, but still, I mean, I know it was a better day for you, Jack, taking down GPPs. Why don't you tell us about it?
Yeah, your King GPP bro is checking in. So it's that time of the year where DraftKings is doing the micro millions. And so my eyes were like huge cartoon eyes when I saw that DK was offering a $50 micro mini max, 150 entry max, just 1 penny. And your boy gets the takedown in the England showdown with a lineup that not even Kieran Trippier's mother could love, with Trippier and the captain, both goalkeepers, Oblak and Pickford, and then Janza Foden and Harry Kane. So I think I have a 200th of a point lead there. So it would be pretty fun to take that out. I don't know, Ryan. It's fun to have projections and rip a 150 set like that when DraftKings offers stupid tournaments overall.
Yeah, very well done. And I guess maybe count your lucky, that Charlie didn't enter his lineups into the tournament, because the winner of the main somehow, or what I mean is somehow your score is less than the winner of the main, even though there's way more entries in the tournament that you played.
Well, perhaps the penny entry field, Ryan, is not as sharp as the $20 entry field.
Perhaps,
We are looking strongly into this.
Perhaps.
Ryan, I agree with a lot of your thoughts on cash. I thought our template was clearly the best team. So you take Mbappe and then Dembele, because Dembele was going to take sets. He played longer than expected, so we ran a little bit good with that, Ryan. I thought you wanted to play two of the three midfielders, Wimmer, Prass, or Rabiot, whichever two you played, I thought would be fine. You were going to play Eriksen, and then you're just left with goalkeeper and two defenders. Ryan, I'm more likely to spend down a goalkeeper than you do slightly. That's just a tendency we have. It doesn't matter that much. So I had extra money for Teo Hernandez. And then for some reason, I thought I would be better off not playing Ake, because I would have more late swaps later on. I had Konza penciled in, and I had to late swap to Gahey, but Ake was...
No, I like that move. I want that. That's the one thing. I regretted playing Ake. I was a little bit scared, and then I just thought he would be chalk, and that I was just wanted to block. But I actually had a feeling he was going to get subbed when he did for Van de Ven. I told people that, and yet I still clicked him. So that was something that annoyed me, because I agree with you. I kind of liked the idea of just leaving it open for flexibility.
Yeah. And I do like that you played Koundé, Ryan. I only saw that I was like in a middle goalkeeper, and so I thought, why don't I just play Taylor Hernandez, who's more likely to score a goal than Koundé, and that's probably worth 1,000. And he got a shot on goal, and that was the difference.
He almost did score, actually.
Yeah. And Ryan, Koundé's looked good. I mean, shout out to you. What a really great player take that you had on the previous show.
Yeah, he did, and he did look good again. His crosses were very bad. I see he has two crosses there. Both of them were very bad. But other than that, yeah, he played well.
Well, the process.
I mean, that's not his game. He's a defender. That's like the worst part of his game. So you just hope he can put in a good cross or two. But no, he didn't.
And then last thing, I mean, we talked about this backstage. Patrick Wimmer, when I do projections, I'm just taking 4 points off, because this dude is like a lock to get a yellow card just watching him. He makes some of the most like idiotic, unnecessary challenges, and he just has like this like stupid face on him. So not tilting that one at all, but I don't, even with some sets, I don't think Patrick Wimmer is a must. This guy is liable to get a stupid card and get subbed off. So just something to note for the future.
Yeah, there are certain players like that, and he actually looked that way when he subbed down the first two games too. So he has a risk. Can also go the other way, where he's winning all the tackles and getting fouls drawn instead. But yeah.
Maybe just not a guy you have to play in cash when you had alternatives. So
unless he's on sets, right? And which we didn't at all. I thought. Yeah.
I thought it was iffy, because I thought he would take over Sabitzer, but like Adam pointed out that Prass was left-footed and would take other set pieces. And I guess getting pipped by the captain pulling rank on you and taking set pieces like Sabitzer did, I maybe should have included that as more likely. But you're right, you did take on a little bit of risk that, he didn't have to take set pieces.
Right.
Any final takeaways, Ryan?
No final takeaways for DFS. I mean, another scintillating performance from England, right? And England is so lucky, because, now they avoid France, Germany, Portugal, Spain. I mean, the murderer's row is in the other group, and England, is going to play like Romania or Georgia or Slovenia or Slovakia, or maybe two of them, or Ukraine. And I guess you just got to hope that England draws the Netherlands, and Netherlands can put them out of their misery or something. But yeah, I mean, such a lucky draw for England. We're probably going to see them in the final somehow, and it's not going to be fun.
It's the Breaking Bad gif with Jesse Pinkman screaming, he can't keep getting away with this. That's how I feel about England. I just do projections during England games, Ryan. I don't even watch because it's pointless. Like they're terrible, and I'm not going to enjoy it. So I may as well get something productive done.
It's funny you say that, actually. Yeah, it's funny you say that. During the second half, I started to watch some poker on the side and was just listening. I just had the audio of the England game on. I didn't even care at that point.
Yeah, I had audio for the Denmark game because it was Derek Ray in there. I also don't have to listen to Landon Donovan. We'll save our takes for the end of the show about that type of thing. Ryan, we have 4 matches tomorrow again. And it's sort of a similar slate, although not as dominant favorites, France and England, although maybe they shouldn't have been based on how they play. But we have 2 big favorites. Portugal is a big favorite against Georgia. I think Portugal has clinched their group. I know Turkey could tie them in points, but they have the head-to-head, and I believe that's the tiebreaker. So we're expecting rotation from Portugal. And then Belgium, I think the other group, if I'm looking at the group standings, the group that Belgium is in, my goodness, everyone is on 3 points. So Belgium are going to be pushing for a win. That looks like a good game environment where you're going to get the best effort from the best players overall. I'll be interested to hear your thoughts on that, Ryan. We have a Czech Republic against Turkey, which could be an interesting matchup. 2 teams that have a little bit of attacking heft to it. And then Ryan, have you ever seen a match before with 47% draw odds? I'm seeing some news down the wire that some former Romanian player is saying that a pre-arranged draw has happened. And you can see we don't have implied goal totals on this one. I've never seen anything like this, Ryan. Do you think it's match-fixing season for the Romania-Slovakia game?
Maybe, actually. Yeah, there might be something to that. We've seen stuff like that before. Did that just happen in the Denmark-Serbia game? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
How about the rest of the games, Ryan? What did you think when you opened up the slate? We don't have to.
Yeah, no, but it's I don't know. It makes that first game interesting. The rest of the slate, it's nice that the Belgium game. Well, actually, no. The Portugal game being last makes it tough to plan for Portugal because I've seen people. We'll be searching for Portugal lineups in the morning because I've seen people that seem to think Bruno and Ronaldo are going to start. Maybe they'll just rotate other guys. And Portugal have the best spot here. Portugal are better than Belgium. They have an easier matchup than Belgium. Georgia play kind of a kamikaze style. And, it should be a really good game environment for Portugal. Now, that being said, sometimes these spots are bust, then when they just rotate the whole team. But I don't know. I could see Bruno starting. I could see Ronaldo starting. But from a cash game and optimal point of view, definitely feel best about the Belgium, the Belgium spot. You mentioned everyone in that group is on 3 points. So, Belgium really need it. Still have a lot to prove after struggling out of the gate. I think kind of makes KDB a pretty easy click. I don't even necessarily mind if you want to start KDB Lukaku. Feel like Lukaku's been pretty unlucky to start the tournament. It's probably only a matter of time before he scores. So yeah, my thoughts were I'm going to trust Belgium in cash. Spend money on Belgium and go from there.
I agree, Ryan, overall, just because we won't really know much about the Portugal lineup. And not like Bruno and Cristiano Ronaldo are players who get subbed off. But at the same time, you can start them if you're Roberto Martinez. I feel like letting them play 90 might be a little bit of a mistake. They're running risk of getting yellow cards, for example. So we'll just have to see, and we'll just have to hunt that lineup down over.
I think it's fine if somebody if you just want to keep things flexible if we don't know who's going to start. There might be some edge there. I think it's a great spot for Portugal. So if you fade one of the Belgian pieces and wait for the Portugal lineup, that seems fine too.
Yeah, you absolutely could, because there are going to be forwards to play for Portugal. You're kind of just saying, whoever it is, I'll take it. If it's Diogo Jota, sure, I'll play Diogo Jota instead of Trossard or Romelu Lukaku. If it's Conceição, same thing. Those are it's defensible because of how good the spot is. And I agree how Georgia plays. Yeah. They're psychos. So
You may get one of them on sets too, like depending who starts. It looks like Vitinha's not going to start. Leao is suspended. So Conceição and Bernardo Silva have a chance to take sets. They'd be fine plays. Pedro Neto, I didn't even realize he's forward eligible too. He would have a chance to take sets, I think, looking at this lineup.
What about João Neves, Ryan?
I was going to say that,
I
yeah.
wanted to ask you about.
Yeah, João Neves, we saw him take sets in qualifying. So feel like he would. I want to check that out. It's interesting because, look, we've seen Nunes take sets at different times, even like
Ruben Neves can take corners.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like, you would want the right-footed sets for whoever starts for Portugal if it's not Bruno. So that's definitely something to look into. But yeah, we mentioned João Neves on the first show. Big fan of him. If he's going to take sets, he would be, what is he, 4,400? Be like almost a free square. Good price on Nunes too. So yeah, you might want to wait for that Portugal game, or at least try to get a piece or two from there.
I agree. Ryan, I don't really know much about João Neves. Is he really an attacking midfielder? I feel like when there are Benfica slates, it's more of like a, middle guy. I don't know, the number 8.
Yeah, he's not. He's more of a center mid, box to box mid. I don't think he is going to give you like the,
Is he going to take 3 shots? Like, is this like?
Oh, I think shots are in play for him. Yeah.
Okay.
I just don't know if you're going to see like, the Phil Foden creativity or, that kind of stuff. No, he's not like a attacker, but he's a box to box mid that would be plenty capable against Georgia.
All right. Good to know. And hopefully there are some pivots, but we'll talk about that. Ryan, are there any other lineup blurbs that you've seen as you've researched lineups? I've only really looked at ours on RotoWire, but there are changes possible. Is there anything that should be on our radar, you think?
I think Mikolenko is going to start for Ukraine at left back, and I think that will move Zinchenko to the midfield. I think Mikolenko said that himself, that he's ready to start, and he almost started last game, so that could happen. Not that has like big implications. I don't think it does. What else? Yeah, Turkey should have Arda Güler back starting, and yeah, the Czech lineup. Czech, didn't even mention Czech, but they might be a source of cheap sets. Tierney was very annoying. I know me and Mo played him last game, and he came out really hot. He had chances to score an assist and then get subbed at 55.
Me too, 55 minutes.
You'd have to think like he's a big dog to play over 60 minutes if he starts, I would think. So that's tough because he would take their sets too. But I've seen lineups without him in there. That's another one that's tough because it's the late game. I guess Barak was actually supposed to start last game, but he got the flu the night before and needed IV and stuff. So we talked about him last time. We weren't sure if it was going to be Barak or Provo taking sets. But no, it turned out Cerny started and he would split with Sufal. So yeah, I don't know. There's just the prices on Czech are cheap, and it's not like that bad of a spot. So I could see going to some Czech guys.
Yeah, there is some risk of holding the bag, but maybe there's some viable swaps that we could make if there are surprises like that. Like if Czerny starts, he is going to take sets, but for 55 minutes. I don't know. We'll dig into it because I think a lot of those players are eligible that you're interested in.
Yeah. I heard Schick is out too. Like, I don't know. I heard Schick is a big doubt. So we probably get Plosek in there, or Cheadle, or however you say his name. He might start. Maybe they both might start too. Yeah.
Not a bad game environment to target, Ryan. I think overall, like each of these matches is like a little bit better. Like the big favorites are a bit more, or I'm not going to say a bit. They're like definitely like a step up in terms of fantasy friendliness. Like we are excited to play Belgian pieces and we're excited to play Portuguese pieces. Compare that to France or England, where like I'm even sweating playing France today, Ryan, in cash games, even though it was clearly the best spot because they can sometimes lay eggs. None of that, Slovakia, Romania, Lord knows what's going to happen there. But Czechia and Turkey, I think they're teams with decent attacking players who have played with some tempo, which is fun, perhaps, for a couple tournament pieces.
Double name change too. Czechia and Turkey. I noticed you said Turkey. Well done, Jack. I realize they're going with that now, and okay.
I pick all this stuff up from listening to every single Derek Ray feed. And I don't know, I try to pick up little things on names. I was very proud yesterday. I got Teo Hernandez. I was with a Colombian friend, and he said it's the soft A, so you just lean into it there. So shout out to me and my awesome pronunciation. Ryan, how about we break down this forward position? A couple of, there's going to be expensive Portuguese options. We just don't quite know who starts, but Jota will have good goal odds if he starts. Conceição, an interesting option. I kind of agree with you in cash games. I might feel a bit safe, at least leaning on a couple Belgian pieces because it's a good spot and incentives are high and I feel good about minutes. So Lukaku, the machine is in love with Lukaku. He's got that hashtag shot-based floor. Seems like a good play with his goal-scoring odds. I don't mind playing center forwards. And then Ryan, the kind of wingers or wingbacks like Trossard or Jeremy Doku, who was terrific in the second game, they're around like 8,000 and seem very playable at the forward position. There's also some like dirt cheap options. Like if you really needed a punt for some reason, I don't think you will. Like you could play like Dennis Dragic on the Romania game. I think we'll be spending up, Ryan, though. What's your take on the forward position?
Yeah, I think we'll be spending up, but like at first I just wanted to play KDB and Bruno, and then you would have to spend down at a spot. But now, going to go on the assumption that we might not get Bruno. So, probably going to spend up twice. I do think Lukaku is okay. And then another Belgium, I think Doku would be fine too. Doku was awesome they're just the best player on the field for a lot of that second game. Completely unplayable. I wouldn't mind going there. And then you'll have a forward on Portugal that's around 9K. Pedro Neto is the most expensive at 9,400. You could plan for him if you wanted, and then if you had to, go down to like a Bernardo or Conceição or even Jota if you want to chase the goals. There should be goals there. But yeah, I kind of just wanted to start Lukaku and De Bruyne. If not Lukaku, then Doku. Guy I was looking at if you really needed it, who did you mention? Dragus, he's 4,200. They have this Mihaila who's 38.
3,700 or something. 30,
yeah, you could go all the way to him. I mean, he had 4 shots against Belgium. But yeah, you might not need that if you're not playing KDB and Bruno, which it looks like we might not be.
Hopefully we'll know more. So you can join the RotoWire Discord, rotowire.com/chat if you are subscribers. So that link has instructions to get into our Discord. I say it every time because people do ask. So it's just good to get the message out there. And if you're not a sub already, you got to join. We're too cheap, Ryan. rotowire.com/soccer trial. It helps support the show. And if you're listening like Ozzy and AI in here, give us a like, give us a thumbs up. All that stuff helps us continue to do this programming for you. I agree on the forward position, Ryan. I honestly think that if you kind of want to avoid a Portugal headache and you just play, you could play 3 Belgian forwards right away, and it's slightly comparable spot. And I think there's just merit to that, but you just don't have any late swap flexibility. It might be a little bit weak to
I think it's okay.
Play one Portugal guy.
I don't know, because I was able to make a lineup that I was okay with that actually had Lukaku, KDB, and Bruno. So it'd be pretty easy to just swap Bruno for like Doku, and then you'd have 1,500 to use somewhere. I don't think that's that bad. I think you could play 3 Belgium guys if you want to.
Yeah, definitely. You just don't have that swap doesn't work though because they're different kickoffs, right? Like you got to make that decision at 11:30 a.m.
Yep.
So I guess that's the part that I'm sweating. But maybe you can just play like cheaper Portuguese mids. It depends. What are we thinking for GPPs, Ryan? Do you kind of want to mine this Belgium game? Maybe Portuguese uncertainty means their forwards are underutilized with respect to the game environments. I mean, you might want to play a Turkey A forward. Maybe Barris finally gets through for us. I think Barris is pretty cheap at like 5,600. That could be an exciting game too. I don't know. Take the floor, Ryan, about GPPs.
Yeah, Barris is up to 63.
Oh, 63. Never. Okay.
The Czech guys are more expensive than I thought. We played Cerny last time at 6,700, and now he's up to 81. Like it's really tough to click that for 55 minutes We might get Pozek at 56. That's one that I'd be okay with. Czech are actually small favorites in that game. Turkey can concede goals. But yeah, I don't mind saving money for Portugal, like you said. And then really the only other spot, I mean, is Romania, Slovakia. And if you want to do anything with that game, I'm a little wary about that spot. I'll probably have some one-offs from there that make things work, but I don't know. Might be one of those situations where I'd rather just save the money for the later games and see what happens. Maybe get a Portugal piece in, like we mentioned the Czech and Turkey guys in the 6K range, maybe at second forward. I just don't think I don't think there'll end up being too much ownership there. Yeah, I don't know. Those are my initial thoughts. What do you think?
I kind of like the cheap Czechia and Turkey guys as just one-offs. I know I was leaning into doing like a bunch of guys from Netherlands and Austria yesterday, but I think you told me backstage maybe just like a 1-1 or just play one player from that game. That could be a really unique piece. So that seems interesting for me for GPPs, but I'll have to look into more at the lineups, I think. Ryan, I have a tough time taking a chance in this Romanian game. I've never seen a situation like this. And, draws can be 1-1 as well. But I don't know. I don't want to put many
draws can be
dollars.
1-1 as well, right? I mean, it's not like, right? They can't just go out. Can they go out there and just pass it around? Like, not really. But
there's a bit of a spotlight on it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's tough to say. I don't know. Like I said, I mean, the prices are okay in that game. Man has been pretty good for Romania. He has a little bit of a floor. I don't really want to spend like 6,700 in that spot, but I don't know. I think you'll probably get low ownership on this game if you want to. Like Haraslin, we played him last time. He was really good. Unfortunately, seems like he's going to get subbed around 70 minutes every time. I mean, it's really tough to pay for the players you want in that game. If I play, cheap guys, I guess I don't mind. We see Stanchu up to 4,400. 3,100 against Belgium, but I think 4,400 in this spot is a pretty decent click. I think that's a fine play.
You mentioned 8,100 in the first slate.
Right. So I think that's a fine play. I actually think I don't want to, and probably not for me because it looks like there's going to be cheap Portugal mids. But if this was a slate where Bruno and Vitinha were starting, you could consider Stanchu for cash, or one of those. He's priced. And he probably takes some sets. He's cheap enough. It's not the worst. And then like you mentioned, Dragus 4,200 and Mihaila 3,800. I don't mind taking shots on those guys. They're dirt cheap.
Yeah, it's the whole thesis isn't gonna sink your lineup. Whereas if you play Lucas Haraslin, he's 7,300 and
yeah, that's gonna sink your lineup.
Yeah, especially if it's only 60 minutes of him. I think I agree overall. Any final thoughts on forward, Ryan?
No.
Looking at midfield then, as I click over to the position, two expensive guys. I mean, you could have arranged things to play both Bruno and KDB in cash last time these two teams played in the same slate. If Bruno starts, those two definitely dominate the conversation, but we don't have Bruno projected in. We have Kevin De Bruyne. I think if I had to only choose one, Ryan, if this was even a conflict, I would probably take KDB due to the hashtag incentives in the match that are more favorable for him attacking most of the game and staying on. But there's a couple other interesting names, like Turkey. It's a little bit expensive with two much better matches, but Arda Güler at 8,300, he has a goal in him. Hakan Çalhanoğlu is at 7,200, where you start to get a little bit tempted, especially by perhaps the PK upside. I don't really want to lean into that, but when he's around 7,000, yeah, you gave me a look, Ryan, so maybe I shouldn't have even brought it up in the first place. And then you can scroll down in the mid-range where there's guys like João Neves. What's the state of the midfield position to you, Ryan?
Yeah, no, I gave you that look because I was a little surprised that Güler is 1,100 more than Çalhanoğlu. I was not expecting that. It does make me think of clicking Hakan. I think either one are okay clicks, though. I just don't think they're going to get that much ownership on this slate, and both could score 20-plus points. They both have paths for that. We saw I saw in the first game. I know it's Georgia, but Çalhanoğlu was forward plenty in the box, in and around the box, plenty. 4 shots and a bunch of shots assisted. So I don't really think of him as some holding mid that's not going to get forward. So I think that's kind of an intriguing price, especially because he has pens. And then Goulet, yeah, I think that's a great tournament play. We saw what he can do. Yeah, Bruno, I don't know, we're just assuming Bruno's not going to start, but the winning lineups in the last slate with these teams had Bruno and KDB with 3,100 Stanchu scoring, 4 or 5 points or whatever he did, because, Bruno and KDB have those ceilings. If you got word that Bruno was going to start, I would be trying to play him and KDB.
Yeah. Good shot. I mean, especially
Tillman's 8.9K. Sorry, just thought Tillman's 8.9K. My God, I don't know if we can go there.
Yeah, that's like a peak Leicester City when he was taking set pieces a lot. Pricing on Yuri Tillemans. A really nice goal he scored there. I think I faded in Showdown.
I mean, not many guys hit a ball sweeter than Tillman's. We just see it over and over and over again. The guy just hits it so sweetly. Gakpo too. It just reminds me of these guys. Like, you see why these guys are, you're starting to see why Liverpool paid so much for Gakpo, and really, really like how good he is and how good he can be. Anyways,
I always paid for, in FIFA like 2016, my scouts always found Yuri Tillemans, and I always bought him for dirt cheap and tried to develop him up to his potential. So certainly a talented player. Ryan, what do you think about the cheap options in tournaments like Juraj Kuchka, if I say that name right? He's someone who has good game logs at 5,100 who would be interesting for tournaments. And we've already mentioned cheap Portugal options. We've already mentioned Nikolai Stancio. Who else are we missing in this cheap range for midfield?
I mean, there's not much. I mean, we're going to get somebody from Portugal, right? We have Neves is 45. Well, Ruben Neves is 45, João Neves is 44, and Mateus Nunes is 39. It's just a really good spot for those guys, especially whichever one is farther forward.
It's safe to plan on one of them, I guess, then, because the late swap
seems like bad. It. Yeah, seems safe to plan on one of them. And even if you have to late swap, I mean, Provost is still 38. It's a guy I don't love clicking, but, we'll see about the lineup. Maybe Černý won't start, and then there'll be sets in the air. Barak is the same price as those Portugal guys who may have a shot at sets. So there are some swaps there. I want to play someone cheaper, like, all the way up to 50, getting above 5K. I'm not really looking there. Like, I'm not trying to punt Kuchka in that first game, I see what you're saying. His game logs look decent, and it's a pretty good matchup. But, like, you're taking a big risk there, like spending in the 5K range on, a random Slovakia mid.
Yeah. He's someone that the machine keeps on shoving in my face, and
we've seen him. He's got goals in him. We've seen it, and look, he's taken 3 shots in each game so far. So it's one of those guys that we like 2% owned in tournaments.
Yeah. So there's your terrible take for GPP.
It's not really a terrible take though. Let's look at today real quick. The 3 most popular midfielders on the slate, just great. These great values just busted so hard. Wimmer scores negative, or Wimmer scores 0.9. Rabiot scores negative, and these aren't like crazy outcomes. These outcomes happen all the time. Could happen with 1 or 2 of the Portugal guys for sure. So I mean, I don't mind it. The leverage to be had is big enough to take those chances. I mean, we saw it today. We see it all the time.
And I'm a GPP bro, Ryan. I mean, screw
you are.
Game. So if there's a micro mini max for 1 cent.
Jack, you've won 2 GPPs in the last week. Unbelievable.
No one runs better than me. I'm glad that I can have my once-in-a-lifetime GPP luck on a $5.
No, not once in a lifetime. They're going to keep coming.
Any other final takes about midfield, Ryan? I think this discussion might have been too good.
Yeah, no, not really. I just see this. Check out this Matej Jurasek, who came on and put up 12 floor points in 35 minutes, and he's 3,100. Too bad we won't know, but like the guy was just getting the ball and crossing it, getting the ball and shooting it. 3,100, but yeah, again, we wouldn't know if he's going to start, and he probably won't.
Yeah, I don't think he's a starter necessarily, but something we'll keep an eye on. Let's move over to the defender position, Ryan, and it's not great. We're not expecting Cancelo to start, and he's been really frustrating. David Huncho, or how we say it, Bear's going to yell at me later, 5,400. He's hurt, so these guys aren't even on the table. They're not even musts if they were on the table. Vladimir Sufal is a good play. He won't take sets as a priority if we have someone like Czerny on, right? But he's someone who gets some crosses from open play. Maybe he has a bad foul in him, but maybe he gets set pieces later in the matchup, depending on the 11. Just feels like a comfy click at a defender position without much value. He's someone who can get 9 points. Otherwise, Ryan, nothing's really speaking to me. Zinchenko took some sets, but I'm not sure he's defender eligible. Is he midfield only, Ryan? If he was defender, we would have played him in previous slates, I think.
Yeah, he's midfield.
He's
midfield only. He's like 3,700 or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Zeki Celik at 3,500. Tell me what you think about defender.
Yeah, I think it's Sufal and then kind of whatever you want. Sufal and punt, most likely. But, Nelson Semedo for 4K in a really good matchup. Doesn't seem that bad.
You can't quit touting Nelson Semedo.
I mean, he's not on Wolves here. He's playing for a big favorite in a pretty good spot. So I don't mind that. Could go even cheaper. Ratiu, or however you say his name, for Romania is 3,600. That seems okay. 3,400 is this Adam Obert. I don't know how you say his name, but I think, is that who we have that's going to start for Hancho?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. He's 3,400. Now, I think he's a center back, but I think he's normally a center back. I'm going to have to look into him a little bit more. Yeah, it looks like he's been playing pretty much all center back, but I do think he's left-footed and that he would still try to cross the ball from what I saw, but I'll check into that. I don't know. He's only 3,400. I don't know. Probably just Sufal and punt, really. I thought I was going to have to go all the way down when I was trying to afford KDB and Bruno, but now that we don't have to do that, maybe I don't. So I don't know, Jack. Should we prioritize someone other than Sufal?
No, I think you're just going to click Sufal. He was like 80% last time. I don't think much has changed. Like, he's probably got some sets.
Yeah,
and
I think either one of those cheap fullbacks in that Romania-Slovakia game would be okay.
I'm trying to convince myself on Zeki Celik, but maybe he's not as attacking as I thought he was based on his Roma game logs. He played as a wingback sometimes.
That's not the worst. Yeah, he's the same as the guys I mentioned. Yeah, he's played as a wingback plenty. Never really done all that much as a wingback, but yeah, he's okay. He's the same as those two guys in the first game. Maybe
I can play him and then go to FanDuel and bet his yellow card prop just to cover myself. Yeah, I agree overall, Ryan. It seems like a slate where in GPPs you make the rule, pair defender with a goalkeeper, and just lock in Sufal. Maybe get a goal or randomly if you have a set piece taker.
You could also just play a favored center back as your second defender. Play a Portugal guy, play a Belgium guy. I think each team has a guy that's 3,300 or 3,500 or something.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout. I think I saw like Ruben Diaz whip 2 crosses in randomly. So these favored guys have ways of scoring some of the stupidest points you'll ever see. Goalkeeper. How about we look to our match, which has been pre-written to be 0-0. I'm kind of tempted to play the Romania goalkeeper for 4,400 if you buy into that narrative. And still, that's not a bad price to pay for a goalkeeper. Romania have some juice to get a victory overall, I mean, we have Mamardashvili, who absolutely was on his way to one of the great goalkeeper performances of all time. So he only has to settle for an outstanding one. Plenty of save opportunities to be had against Portugal. I'm probably going to spend down again, Ryan. On a 4-game slate, it's just tough to convince me to spend up. But what do you think?
Yeah, no. Initially, I'm planning on spending down. The Romania keeper seems fine. I think, Mamardashvili, is that his name? He, especially if we get a B team from Portugal, they could be a little inefficient, and they're likely to just fire shots. Look at some of the guys in there. You're going to see plenty of shots from outside the box from Portugal. I think we said yesterday about France and the Poland keeper, and like that same thing happened. Mbappe got out there just firing shots. Everybody's just firing shots. France weren't even that good, but the Poland keeper had a ton of saves and a ton of opportunities to make saves. The same thing's going to happen with Mamardashvili. He's definitely got a chance for negative, but you see in these spots all the time where the B team is a little bit more inefficient. So yeah, I'll probably pay down for the Romania keeper or Mamardashvili. Yeah, unless some crazy value opens up, and then end up on Castiles or Costa, but probably not.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes that happens, but I don't know. Mamardashvili is going to be somewhat like Jack, popular probably.
Yeah.
I mean, you can eat a -2 at goalkeeper. Like, people
you can
cash all the time with that.
Yeah. Like, I was never planning on spending up today. Never. And we get a random Prass start. No one's planning for Prass. And it just freed up 1,700. I had Wimmer there, and it was like just a comfy click to get up to. I could have chose Pickford or Mannion, but yeah, like, I don't know, Jack, fucking goalie, right?
Just always
the most random position, yet it decides so much.
We'll have to open up some old conversation logs between us where we're yelling about spending down versus spending up on
random, isn't the way to put it. But, think about today when Mannion is the worst keeper on the slate, and he's so close to being the best keeper. He saves the first Lewandowski penalty. It was retaken correctly because he was way off his line, but then nearly saved the second one. I mean, it was almost missed. So, Magnon's close to scoring 20-plus points, but instead scores 3. I mean, it's just what happens.
No, you have to stop here. If you're going to take a coward pen, like one of the best strikers of all time, Robert Lewandowski does, and do 3 stutters, come on. You should be able to step off your line. In fact, Lewandowski
kind of
should be thrown out.
Kind of, how is he allowed to do that? And I mean, I can't believe he takes pens like that. A guy that scored that many goals, and we've seen that from him before because we've talked about it on the pod before. I've just never seen a guy who gets up there and loses all confidence. Like, he's just, I don't know, means too much to him or something. He's just he's so nervous, and you can see it. Yeah, but you can't tell, you can't have anybody else take penalties. He just has to take them because, he's Lewandowski. But yeah, that was annoying.
He's not going to hand them off to Przemysław or Frankowski or something.
Right.
It's preposterous. I don't know. There's been 2 moments in this tournament where I just irrationally dislike players due to their actions. And it's Rafael Leao diving in 2 straight games. And it's Robert Lewandowski getting absolutely bailed out. Maignan guessed right twice.
Yes.
It didn't even work. The start didn't even work.
No. And Lewandowski hit the post too. He almost dragged that wide. He almost didn't put that on target. That's too bad, but
I'm convinced. No, it was injustice, Ryan. Maignan was a good keeper, and so it goes. Any last thoughts, Ryan? I think we covered just about everything based on what we know at 6:15.
No last thoughts. Right. I mean, it's been a fun tournament overall. It's been a rough last few days for me. We got to turn it around tomorrow. Still positive.
The last 4-game slate, which I think are better for me because I don't know if they're I think.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing worse than a 2-game Spain slate, Jack.
Well, trust me, especially when you play a stone donkey.
Right. There's nothing worse than a 2-game Spain slate.
I would have had more fun just like withdrawing the money and lighting it on fire than I did in that Spain slate. So at least we have a 4-gamer here. Hopefully I'll be more prepared. Thank you all so much for joining us. Please leave a like or comment if you're in. Join our Discord. Join RotoWire.com. If me, the King GPP bro, cannot win tomorrow, I sure hope it's one of you. Good luck tomorrow, everybody. Ryan and I are going to take a couple days off, and we'll be back for the round of 16.
Thanks, Jack. Good luck, everybody.